I will relive the events of that day 1,000 times.
It was probably the most horrific 15 minutes of a school nurse's life.
It was very, very scary. I can't imagine what it was like for Jessica or her mother.
Medical emergencies happen every day, but this was the first time we ever had someone in cardiac arrest.
You have an empty seat, something like what happened to Jess. It tears you apart. And you just hope to God that you never see it again.
And I just kept saying, like, she's got to be okay. She has to be okay, because if she's not okay, how can I go back into my classroom? You know, how could I possibly go back into my classroom and think any one of my kids could die on any given day?
Like seeing my daughter, like without anything, like she don't hear me. She was in bed with like things on her mouth to breathe. It's something very difficult.
I'm just so grateful it happened, ended the way it did. She's here, she gets to celebrate her 13th birthday. Sorry. She's a great kid. You know, I only knew her 8 days when it happened. So to say, like, how do you deal with it with a student and knowing them? It's hard. I don't have children of my own. These are all my kids. And I'm all in. Every day, I am all in. It may be right, it may not be right, but I am emotionally attached to each one of them. More so with Jess, like, I am forever attached to that kid.
Emergency response team to room 405. Please excuse this interruption. Emergency response team to room 405.
It was fifth period. Fifth period starts at like 5 after 11. I co-teach with Anne-Marie Carlson. She was, I guess, talking to some kids, and I was just sitting down at the computer to take attendance. And my back is to the classroom, so I hear Anne-Marie say, "Are you okay?" And like the words "okay" are lingering out of her mouth. And I turn to look, and I hear a gargling noise, and then Jessica falls backwards and smacks her head on the desk.
I had Jessica in 7th grade science last year. We get special needs forms filled out by the nurse every year, and on hers was listed a heart problem. Okay. They didn't go into any detail. It was just the teachers a heads up that if she said she wasn't feeling well, she should be sent to the nurse.
People were telling me that I fainted in school and that my heart stopped for 7 minutes. I couldn't believe that happened.
I got all of the other students out of the classroom. I told them to get into the hallway, ran to press the emergency call button, and you know, it was probably 2 seconds, and it felt like 10 minutes to me.
When I initially came running in, I didn't know who Jessica was. I had never had her as a student. Mrs. Carlson was on the floor with her, and she just started screaming, "She's turning blue, she's turning blue." And I remember my initial assessment and starting the chest compressions, but then I don't remember much after that. I think I don't know if I blacked it out.
When I came into the room, that kind of was the last thing that I expected to see, was a girl on the ground turning purple and blue, so it definitely caught me off guard. So at that time, you know, I just kind of felt like I knew I had to act, but it was definitely something that I wouldn't wish upon anybody, that I hope I'd never have to see again.
I ran down here with my crash bag, and Jessica was laying on the floor. She was blue. Mr. Dash was already doing CPR. So I just jumped in there on the other side. The AED was right above me. I attached the AED. We started that going, and as I did mouth to mouth on Jessica. So we just started right away working together as a team.
There was one point after she was shocked where she started making some sounds, and you know, at that point I said, okay, this seems like it's working. You know, one of the main points of when you're doing CPR and using the AED is you want to get them to a point where they're showing a sign of life, and that's what I did start to see, which was like, okay, this is working. The compressions and the breaths and the AED, it's all kind of working. So at that point, you know, I definitely viewed that as a positive sign.
I got in the ambulance with her, and then met her mom at the hospital and had to relay that horrible story, you know, from her mom hearing it from us and not from a doctor.
Press the flashing shock button. Shock delivered.
When I got to the hospital, Miss Going was there, and she says to me, "Oh, Jessica fainted, and they have to use the electrical shock to make her heart, you know, basically come back."
I remember walking into the science class, and just sitting down. And right after that, nothing. Then I remember waking up in the hospital, laying in bed.
Jess had to have that episode here. She couldn't have had it on the school bus. They wouldn't have had an AED. She couldn't have had it in her home. Her parents don't know CPR. Jessica had to have it here in this room to have the results that we had. Cohen's Children's Hospital, they did a full assessment of her and realized that she had several things wrong with her heart. Not in addition to the hole in her heart, she had 2 valves that didn't grow at the same rate, so her valves were the wrong size. She had a chamber of her heart that was enlarged. And with all of those things, and then having gone into cardiac arrest, there was only 3 or 5 doctors in the United States that would even do the surgery that was going to be needed to get Jessica's heart fixed. So Cohen's Children's Hospital contacted Boston's Children's Hospital and then airlifted her there because that was the closest doctor that would do this surgery. She was in surgery for probably like 11 or 12 hours. I know they took her in at like 1 in the afternoon, and that entire day I'm like looking at my phone, like, okay, they said it was gonna be so many hours, and you know, I didn't hear from her mom until the middle of the night. Like, she sent me a text like saying everything was okay.
It was difficult even when she got back home. You have the feeling like anything can happen again. Me as a mom, I don't want her to be sleeping in her room. I was open both doors. I was sleeping with both doors open. I go into her room, make sure she's breathing okay, everything, because you know it's like very scary situation. When she got out of the hospital, she wasn't able to go back to school, but the teachers from Wisdom Lane, and they've been like so great. They've been coming to the house every day, Monday to Friday, 2 hours a day, and teach her whatever they have to teach. They still have the test, so she can answer the test and send it back.
Oh my God.
What is it?
Isn't it like the heart?
It is the heart. Yeah. Look, so it says, it's a heart. It's gonna be hard to go back to school, but you will. It'll be fine, right? You have to, exactly.
And especially that you said you want to be a doctor, so you have to go.
How you feel about going back to school?
It's all right, I guess.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
You get to see your friends.
Now the teachers are talking about we have a big, you know, welcome back for her. That's not Jess. Jess is a very low-key girl. I think that would almost startle her. Made me make her more anxious than she is.
I miss you so much.
She just wants to come back, and she just wants her normal 13-year-old life back, and I get that. But it's like, to me, this is such a big day for her.
All right, you have to bring
Hey, young lady, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
All I can say is like I can never thank enough to these people what they did for her. And Miss Going, I think she's one of the main amazing persons. She been visiting us, calling me, come to the hospital, visiting Jessica.
She was always there to make sure I was okay. She was one of those people who saved my life, and I'm thankful for that.
Once you heard that Jessica was holding her own, I mean, that was the best feeling in the world. It's like, well, thank God I can, I can sleep tonight. I can sleep tonight.
I was in shock until that night, and I remember sitting at home with my husband and saying, because she was on a ventilator, and all I kept thinking is, what if I did her wrong? And I guess I didn't.
We call it the 5-second rule. Your life can change in 5 seconds, and actually it could be 3 seconds. But it's 5-second rule, and that's what happened that day. Somebody's life changed in 5 seconds, and everybody else's life around them changed in 5 seconds.
She has welcomed me into their family. I mean, I don't hang up the phone without telling them how much I love them. I've never had a relationship like that with a student's family before, but I feel like they are my family and I'm a piece of their family, you know? That's amazing that she had all that stuff with her heart and it's fixed and she doesn't notice.
And it doesn't feel anything. I mean,
Right.
She doesn't feel any difference. So I think that's a miracle.
Absolutely a miracle.
Being in a hospital by myself, like far away from the house, far away from the family, and it was like really difficult. I mean, especially after the surgery when she was like basically in coma. You need at least somebody to talk. But it was like just me, and God was there with me. Gave me the strongest or whatever. But it was like really, really bad experience.
I keep thinking about things in the future, like graduation in June. She wouldn't have been there. But today is a good day.